Okay, Mario, we discussed religious Zionism. What is your opinion on this subject?
Hi Robert, you just set up the interesting subject. Actually, I don't have any specific thought or theory about that, except I can only comment on from my perspective of human suffering or attachment or whatever. But I would like to hear maybe your opinion about that, or what Torah or Judaism says about Zionism. What do you think, or what they say?
Well, I believe that Judaism is religious Zionism. There is no difference. There is no real difference between the two. And we see this in the Torah in many places. For example, Genesis 15:18, on that day the Lord formed a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your seed I have given this land from the river of Egypt until the great river, the Euphrates River. Numbers 33:53, you shall clear out the land and settle in it, for I have given you the land to occupy it. Deuteronomy 11:31, for you are crossing the Jordan to come to possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you, and you shall possess it and dwell in it. So I understand that some people disagree with Judaism and religious Zionism, but the problem is when they misrepresent Judaism. So within its own theology, Judaism is a Zionist religion. It is not a racist religion, because any Gentile who keeps the 7 Noahide commandments is allowed to live in Israel, right? But it is certainly a Zionist religion. And I believe that this is not controversial to anyone who studied the Torah seriously.
So, do you think that, you probably know that, are Jews consider that words about land of Israel or whatever, God's message to them, the message from the God, or God's will for them? How they consider it? Is it so Torah is probably parts of Torah were written by people, right? Or whole Torah is written by people, by Jews, right? So how you
well, religious Zionists believe that God commanded them to live in Israel. So they see it as a commandment. They don't see it as a fairy tale. They do not see it as some kind of advice. They see it as a religious obligation to live in Israel.
Where they find that religious obligation except Torah? Where is the first source of that commandment, let's say?
Well, I gave the first source in Genesis 15:18. So by definition, every commandment in Judaism must have a source in the Torah, right? So I gave 3 Torah sources which command them to live in Israel. And in Judaism, it is not allowed to derive religious obligations or commandments outside of the Torah of Moses.
Yes, that's a little bit what is bothering me generally in my life, because connection with any religion, nation, political party, whatever, land, creates attachment, and in the Eastern philosophy, the attachment produces the suffering. So, but of course, every nation, every person has a right to choose what to believe in. My point is just if we consider this situation in the Middle East at the moment, and the state of Israel, my point is just that maybe there could be another way to enforce or implement that Israel land to live together with other people, because if you check the historical context, many people mixed in that area, and when you see all that Semitic nations or from old time, from Babylonians and Arabs in the present time, So I guess there are many different nations who should live in peace and tolerance together, even if that country or land is called Israel or I don't know, Egypt or whatever. So my point is that some current situation may be used that religious Zionism for some personal or political gain. That's my only objection. But of course, if religion teaches something, I'm totally in support if that doesn't cause suffering on other people.
Well, in Judaism, the true identity of a person as a Jew or Gentile is matrilineal. So a person who has a Jewish mother is Jewish, a person who has a Gentile mother is a Gentile. And I mentioned that any Gentile who keeps the 7 Noahide commandments is allowed by religious law to live in Israel. And obviously, Gentiles who hate Jews are less welcome for obvious reasons. When it comes to the suffering of the Jewish people, I think it is also obvious that throughout history, when Jews lived outside of the land of Israel, they suffered a lot. They suffered Holocausts, they suffered pogroms, they suffered persecution. So many Jews, especially religious Zionists, they understand that the only real way to live without suffering and to minimize their own suffering is to settle in their own land. So that's also something which I wanted to add.
Yes, that's interesting. I mean, I can only follow what you said. That's not my belief, and I'm not important in that. But as any other belief, that belief also shapes their mindset, and maybe it's confrontational in some situation, or doesn't matter. It probably confronts other people who are opposing. I mean, again, I can only say that all that mental maps or mental beliefs can make confrontation between people, but they are not sourced in the being, in the human being, because when if a Jew is let's say from the Jewish mother was born, let's say, in China, and the mother dies, and Chinese father raises that kid, right? That kid wouldn't know anything about Zionism or belief. He would have blood, I mean, Jewish blood in his veins, but the beliefs wouldn't be implemented in his head, so he could live totally different life than we talk about now. So for me, saying this, what I wanted to say is that all that things are relative if you don't implement it in the best way possible to live in peace with other human beings, because even religion or any theology or whatever should have a only purpose to help people live in peace and without harming other people. If it's not like that, then Christianity, doesn't matter, Judaism, Christianity, any other religion or mindset or political view or nation or laws are just causing suffering, which is not the point of living happy and human life. That's my point. What do you think?
Well, within its own theology, Judaism does have a way to achieve universal peace, right? So, as I mentioned many times, Judaism has universal commandments for the whole world. So, it does envision a world where the whole purpose of the Jewish Messiah is to bring peace to the whole world, right? So, Judaism does have a universal set of rules which would bring peace to the whole world. But tragically, as we know throughout history, that there were many empires and imperialisms which did the exact opposite, right? So the Roman Empire was a Gentile empire, the Ottoman Empire was a Gentile empire, the Russian Empire was a Gentile empire. So if you look throughout history, Gentiles are the ones who mostly created empires and imperialisms which caused so much suffering in the world.
Yes, if you look from Gentiles versus Jews perspective, all other people except Jews are Gentiles. So I wouldn't just generalize in that way. because maybe we don't know all the details. But my point is that religious Zionism, no matter wording that religion should bring peace, I would just say the deeds speak louder than words, and we all are bound to do good deeds. The problem is maybe the cause. When we say the cause, I'm not sure about the English phrase. When you have a cause and you explain, but that cause your bad deeds. So it's I think if we all follow the ultimate philosophical or let's say religious sayings, there would be no war or no harm. But when those sayings are somehow twisted into cause for doing war or kill other people or whatever that is, throughout history, I'm not referring to current time, just to current situation, that religion or whatever good it should bring to people is just an empty word, right? Do you agree with me at least in one word or one sentence I say?
Well, I agree and I disagree. I believe that each situation and person is different. So when you deal with violent terrorists who hate you, there certainly is room for violence, right? When you deal with good, willing people who wish you good and you wish them good, there is certainly room for mutual respect and mutual good.
I totally agree. I think we have mutual understanding, and I wouldn't dwell more into current situation because we don't know what politics has in mind, and I believe good people will prevail over time if it's possible.
Okay, Mario. Thank you for the educational discussion.
Likewise, thank you too.
And I hope to hear from you soon again.
Definitely. See you soon.
We are Godless Judaism.
We discuss atheism, religion, and everything else.